Okay, so, all right, so this is the card, and it sits like that. So it's just kind of, I don't think you guys can see it, I don't know. But it's so cute, it's so adorable. So when you open it up, and the thing is I didn't want it to fold this way to go in the card. I wanted it to fold like this, so that this would become the center. Well, that one goes to the back. So this would become the center point of it. So figuring that out was the challenge. Because right now it's too big for the card. But I figured it out. I persevered. You guys know me, I won't give up. Okay, so we're gonna make it, I'm gonna make it a little different. So it does sit nicely once you get it. You have to do the flaps back. And I think that's because I've done it, folded it funny and everything. So, okay, so let's get started. So to start with, you're going to take a piece of 5.5 by 8.5 basic white. And I'm going to start with scoring. I'm going to score at 2 1/8 inches from each end. And I am going to use my scoring tool, my stylus here. That just works better for me because it gives me a nice deep line. And then I am going to turn it and do the same thing on the other end. Okay, now, and that's with the 8.5 inch side at the top. Now I'm going to turn it to the 5.5 inch side of the top. I'm going to line it up on my 1 inch score line right here. Let me just get over there in the center of the screen. And I am going to cut from this score line to this score line. Okay, so I'm just going to take my cutting blade. And this is, if you have a Stampin' Up! Trimmer or a trimmer, that's what makes it so easy. Going to flip it around. Line it up at 1 inch on this side. And I'm going to cut from one score line to the other score line. I'm not even going to give you the measurements because it's probably really weird. Okay, sorry. Okay, then I'm going to turn it back on the 8.5 inch side, and I am going to line this up at 3 1/16. Now, this is where we need to talk about 16ths. Guys, I know that you hate 16ths, but it's really easy. So let's say you have, you're going to line it up at 3 3/16. Well, that's going to be, just count over, 1, 2, 3, and you'll see the third line there on the trimmer is the 16th, 3 3/16. But if you're going at, let's say you're going at 2 3/4. I got lots of lines on here, marks on here. So if you're going at 2 13/16. So you know that there's 4 little lines in each quarter. Okay, you can count that 1, 2, 3, 4. So divide 13 by 4, and that's going to be 3. So it's going to be 3/4, and then you have 1 left over. So you're going to go to the next little line here. Okay, it's really, really easy. If nothing else, you know halfway is 8. So start counting from 8 and go to count 5 over 5 more. You can do the math and you can do it. It's really not hard to do. Okay, so I'm going to line this up at 3 13/16. So I'm 3 3. Ooh, what's my measurement? 3 3/16. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3/16, just right there. And I'm sorry, but it has to be that way or it doesn't fold right. And then I'm going to score between my cut lines. So I'm going to score between this one and this one, just right in there. Let me grab my tool. It makes a nice deep scoring right there. And then I'm going to flip it around. And on the other end, I'm going to do the same thing. 3/16, 1, 2, 3 little marks. Close the door and score between the cut lines. Now there's one more scoring we're going to do, and that's we're going to score our card in half, but we're not going to score it all the way through. So I'm going to go to 4 1/4, which is half of an 8.5 piece, And I'm just going to score from here to here, from here to here, okay? So from the top to the cut line, and then from the cut line to the bottom. And that is all the scoring, and that's what makes this card so difficult, but it makes it so cute. Okay, so now we're just going to get a bone folder here, and I'm going to crease all my score lines. So you want to make sure that you don't, when you go to do the quarter one, the half one, the one that's here, the 4.5, you don't want to crease your center. You only want to crease these two back here. Okay, so we're going to fold that and just give it a little crease. If I can. I can't do that right now. Okay, let's get these creased. So I'm going to crease these. And this one. Now I can crease that one in the middle. Because now it folds down. And so now this will come together. I'm banking on it happening. Okay, so now I can bring those two together. Come on, come on. No, don't tell me. There it goes. So you may have to just squish it a little bit to make it crease and then make it lay down straight. I don't think I burnished my fold straight there. Okay, so just reinforce those. There is my card. Okay, so I'm changing what I'm doing, of course, a little bit. And these, all the measurements for these are on my blog. I am not going to try to give them to you now because they are all like 1/8 of an inch difference. And there is one here that is 13/16. It's that little tiny cut. There's actually one that's 15/16 too. So this is a great card for using up leftover scraps. I will tell you that. It doesn't take any big pieces. This is the biggest piece right here. These two are the biggest pieces. And so what I've done is I've layered them on a piece of green, which I could have done. This is Mossy Meadow, but I could have done the real red. Whoa, Debbie. Okay. Could have done the real red on this one just as well. And then I'm using the Heartwarming Hugs Designer Series paper. That's what I'm using. So all of these different papers came out of there. So it's really super simple. Just attaching, and I've already layered these. I've layered all my papers on a piece of Mossy Meadow. And that is the paper. Whoops! That coordinates with this paper pack. You guys know that all of that information is on the back of the paper pack, right? It always tells us what it coordinates with on the back of the paper pack, so you know, and there's no guessing. Sometimes it will coordinate with other things that it does not list. You know, like you might say, oh, this goes really well with cherry cobbler instead. And part of that is your likes and tastes, and the Mossy Meadow would go with cherry cobbler. This would not, of course, because it's real red. So there's lots of little pieces, and like I said, all of that information will be on my blog. As soon as I finish this video, it will be placed on my blog where you can download all that information on the sizes for this, as well as this video will be on there to show you how I cut that. So and there we are. Okay, now we just have the center left, and this is just going to be a solid piece. Now you could do the green here and then do a white in the center and stamp a greeting. That would work just as well. But I wanted to use Sweets and Treats, which is the set that I used before, and make this a Christmas card. I also tied a ribbon. I did the check ribbon on the other one, the plaid check, I don't know, gingham, whatever this is. But on this one, I'm going to use, we do not have a Mossy Meadow ribbon that is current. So I'm going to tie a piece of Real Red. And you want something that's not real thick here, because it's going to go around and be a part of your card. And you want it to be able to go down in there like that. So I'm just going to tie a knot right here. And there we are. Nice little knot. Let's trim our tails. I think I cut way too much, didn't I? Okay, and then I have already stamped my little platter and my little fruitcake here, so I'm just going to go ahead and put those on here with dimensionals. And I put my platter on with glue. Oh, it says 2 1/8 on the back of that one. Must have used that for something else too. And I'm going to pop up my fruitcake here. And I colored it with, I colored the leaves up the top with Evening Evergreen instead of, oh goodness, it's sticking to me terribly, instead of Mossy Meadow, but if I did it over again, I would do it with the Mossy Meadow. The colors I used for this, for my fruitcake, were Real Red, let's see, Granny Apple Green, Daffodil Delight, Calypso Coral. This is the Evening Evergreen, and I colored this in the Soft Suede. That's pretty much it. Yeah. Okay, so there is my card. I'm going to add a greeting. I am going to stamp Bring On Christmas on a piece of basic white in Evening Evergreen. No, it should be in Mossy Meadow, huh? Let me grab my Mossy Meadow. Mossy Meadow is considered a neutral, so it's kind of interesting. It's in a different location because it's not in with my greens that I would think it would be with. Right. And then I am using a retired punch. It's a classic label punch, but I'm sure everybody has a punch that's this shape. There was a word window that we had before this one that I absolutely loved. It was so versatile, it had so many different uses. But I love my classic label punch. It makes it really super easy just to punch out that little greeting. So on this, I am going to attach this here, but I want to make sure that it's not going over my fold. I am going to attach it with a dimensional, but I want to make sure my dimensional doesn't go, oops, I need a little dimensional. Let me get a mini one. There they are. And so I want to make sure that that dimensional does not go out and keep my card from, stick to my card so it won't fold right. Looking for my tweezers and not finding them. I must, oh, I used them over on my desk. So I'm going to put some adhesive on this end, a little liquid glue, or you can use a tape runner. And on, see, I don't want it to go over this line, my dimensional. So I am going to put my dimensional just like right next to my glue. And then that way it will attach really well and it won't go over. Okay, so that's going to go right to that line, which should be fine, because this line is shorter than that. So there is my card for today, and it goes right in the envelope, just like that. So you can have that on the front. You could also fold it this way and put it in a card. You could also decorate, if this is out a little bit far for this, but if it was lined up right, you could decorate the front and make it make this the front of the card and put another greeting on the front there. So let's see if I can move that over a little bit. Yeah, so then you could, oops, still won't work, but you could close that up and decorate